Folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalists. Stick around for this video because I'm going to be busting some of the more common, more dangerous myths regarding coronavirus. And this isn't anything I came up with myself. This is straight out of The Guardian, which is as mainstream media as it gets. And yet they're saying it in the title quite clearly. Yes, it is worse than the flu, busting the coronavirus myths. So let's get to it. First one, claim it is no more dangerous than winter flu. I've seen this time and again being repeated on TV, even by government officials in different countries. This is very dangerous to put it out there in the minds of people that this is just like the normal flu. No, it's not. Your typical flu has a mortality rate of 0.1%. Coronavirus has at least 3%, and we don't even know how bad it's going to be getting in its real magnitude, because only after it peaks and a few months later after that can you really have an estimate of how the percentage of a mortality rate actually was. As of right now, even with the numbers from Italy, developed country with some of the best medical care in the planet, not anything I come up with myself, this is the World Health Organization says Italy ranks pretty nicely in terms of medical care it provides for its citizens. It is a developed country, yet the mortality rate that they have as of right now, it's up at least 2%. That is 20 times more lethal than your typical flu, okay? Keep that in mind. Second claim, it only kills the elderly so younger people can relax. No, it's not like that. There's a pile of younger people sick as well, and they spread the disease, so they're bringing it back home, and the parents, the grandparents are at risk as well, and young people have died as well. Yes, it is true that the mortality rate increases exponentially the older the person is, and there's also a link regarding if there's any pre-existing medical conditions, but it doesn't mean that you cannot catch it if you're a young person as well. It does happen. Claim, this is a pretty bad one, and again I've seen this one time and again. Face masks don't work. False. That is completely false. If face masks didn't, this is just common sense, if they didn't work, you wouldn't see every single medical personnel, doctor, nurse, anyone in contact with sick using those face masks. And it's not just because it is for the sick so as to avoid spreading the disease when coughing and sneezing. That is part of it, but that's only in regards to those that are already sick. The ones that are looking after those people are also wearing this equipment because it's part of the personal protection equipment they wear so as to avoid getting sick. Masks do work. There's a bunch of studies. I don't want to make this super long, but properly worn with the proper protocols, those respirators, 80% chance of avoiding catching the disease through the respiratory system. That is a lot. That is why they're using it. Now, one of the reasons why they started with this myth was because people were buying these masks. They're out of stock everywhere around the world, and medical personnel cannot find them themselves. Military governments are buying those from your local hardware stores because they're that desperate for them. But it is not true to say that these things do not work. They actually do work. One of the things I was asked recently was, Fernando, but the virus is a lot smaller than the filtering capability of the mask. That is correct, but you're not trying to filter the virus. What you're trying to filter is a droplet of saliva that is floating in the air when someone sneezes, coughs, or even talks, like I'm talking right now. Small little droplets of saliva come out when I say certain words, and you may catch the disease through this. Is in fact the main way in which coronavirus is being spread. So those masks are extremely valuable if you are anywhere near sick people. Claim, you need to be with an infected person for 10 minutes. No, you don't. If you're unlucky enough, just walking by someone that just happened to produce some of these droplets, you were unlucky enough to inhale those, you may be sick. One of the other things I came across was, no, it's only if you're within 3 feet or 4 feet or 5. There's no standard number because there's no way of controlling how far that little droplet of saliva may be traveling. Yes, usually it's rather a short range, but it depends. It depends so much. If you're in a bus, in a train, in an airplane, someone is sneezing, that may travel several feet. There's no way of knowing for sure exactly how far it's going to be traveling. There's just no way of knowing. And this about being 10 minutes with someone, it may be just a few seconds that you're passing by and you're just unlucky. Of course, the more time you're exposed, the greater the risk, but there's no magic number. Claim a vaccine could be ready within a few months. False. This is not true. It is impossible. A vaccine needs to be developed, tested, approved, and produced. All these things will take at the very least 1 full year. I was reading headlines about Israel already has a vaccine or is about to have a vaccine. No, it's not Israel, it's not the United States. No one is going to be having a vaccine in less than a year, give or take, because it's simply impossible to produce a vaccine for something that is new. The new novel coronavirus it's new. It's impossible to produce a vaccine in such a short period of time for anyone, no matter who you are or what country or what resources you have. It is simply not doable. A claim: if a pandemic is declared, there is nothing more we can do to stop the spread. Again, false. And I'm reading straight out of the article. A pandemic is defined as a worldwide spread of a new disease, but the exact threshold for declaring one is quite vague. In practice, the actions being taken would not change whether or not a pandemic is declared. Containment measures are not simply about eliminating diseases altogether. Delaying the onset of an outbreak or decreasing the peak is crucial in allowing the health systems to cope with a sudden influx of patients. Okay, so these are all things that people need to understand. Some of the lies being told out there are just simply dangerous. There's also this myth about it only affects men, because there's somewhat of like 60% of these are men. That has to do a lot with the way it's been spreading, peak hours during people were traveling, moving around, and the amount of men and women in those specific areas. There's really no not specific proof of yes, women are safe. It's almost as if they want to make this about gender. It is quite ridiculous to try to put this on the male patriarchy almost in a way that is related to the virus. One that I love is the worst virus is the mass hysteria and fear. No, it's not. That's not a virus. And there's, sure, you don't have to lose your nerve over this, but you don't have to ignore the real risks that are out there either. You just have to accept them for what they are and prepare accordingly. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video. As always, I recommend my latest book, Street Survival Skills, where I address lots of these things and lots of the things that are going to be happening soon enough around the world. At this point, pretty much unavoidable. I recommend it because I believe it is a valuable resource for you guys, and the reviews of people in Amazon seem to support that. Folks, it's all. See you on our next video, and have an awesome day.